UnDaoDu. How are you? Remember, undo folks with a smile and a laugh. Be a DAO, be a like an oak tree to others, and do in this time of need for those in need. Try to be of service and help to them. I'm doing a presentation here called Foundups. Be the next Bitcoin. It's a fork, a hard fork. And really, what we want to do is make it easy for anyone to fork us. So we're a forkable fork. All the libraries, everything else, and we will be like a IOHK in helping organizations launch their own version um, of Foundups for their networks. So the idea is to transform very quickly large organizations and get them on the blockchain and using this framework for them. So, who am I? Well, I'm prophesized 5,250 years ago to be here. The foundation of the fifth age is built on Bitcoin. Coming out of UnDaoDu's head is the blockchains and ultimately the AI staring out, open beneficial AI in the Bitcoin vault. You can think of the SmartDAO staring out. It's going to manage and run it all. So the three parts of this is what I'm going to be talking about. And because of BitClout, all of a sudden things are gotten really excited. And I'm staring at Natsukaze. This is from 2019. Natsukaze literally means Natsu summer, kaze influenza, the coronavirus. I didn't know it was the coronavirus. I just knew it was coming. I didn't know it was coming. Also, it could be summer wind. Natsukaze also means summer wind. It could be Black Lives Matter, right? The insurrection, this Fourth Reich that I call, which is the Bannons and the nationalists who are, I believe, behind BitClout because they're upset at Twitter playing, kicking them off, and it's a way for them to secure a war chest. But I'm not going to talk about this presentation. This presentation is about the pain. And really, every crisis facing our planet can be linked to a 14th century business model that was developed in Florence, Italy, and it is still unfolding today, and we have to get off it. And here's a great video by Guy Kawasaki. Is it Guy Kawasaki? Suzuki. Sorry, David Suzuki. Different guy. David Suzuki, who talks about you can't have infinite growth on a finite planet, and exponential growth is you won't see it until it's too late. So we're seeing this now in Bitcoin because you can just replace this, and I'm not going to play it. I'm going to have it linked so on this presentation, go back and you can click and watch it yourself. So what's the solution? Well, to usher in Capitalism 3.0 is built on a new valuation engine I call 3V, the 3V engine, which is functions on proof of benefit, and it asks three questions: how is what I'm doing in my life helping the planet, the living systems, and sharing with others? And these are intangibles that can be measured now with AI and based on how other people are responding to what you're doing and everything else. And we're a hard fork, which means we're just going to take BitClout and get out the parts we don't want, change it, and then make it easy for anyone to fork us. And we're adding two things. We're adding a SmartDAO, which is an AI, deep learning, machine learning driven DAO, which is completely autonomous. And it's going to, everyone who downloads the wallet is going to basically be having the SmartDAO protect and gather their information, their controls. This will be growing as we go, but encrypting and safeguarding the SmartDAO works for you through open beneficial AI, right? Obey, which I call the AI. So solution two is the SmartDAO, so the first one is the forking. I kind of jumped ahead of myself. The second one is the SmartDAO. It's open beneficial AI. It's built on open AI framework. It doesn't run the blockchain. It runs on the kernel of your CPU. Like if you have an iPhone 12, it's a supercomputer. So each all our cell phones are supercomputers. So it creates a distributed network working together and ensuring that the Bitcoin that is stored, that goes through your wallet and everything else, is tracked and is paid a UBI back on it. It could be as based on 20% to all 80%. I believe Bitcoin in the next 2 years is going to hit $10 million in value. So imagine getting involved in the Bitcoin that you put in, like in to perform in BitClout. Imagine getting a lifetime UBI paid out on that Bitcoin that you put in there, right? That'd be kind of cool. Well, that's what's going to happen. with the SmartDAO. That's one of the points, giving everyone a UBI based on the Bitcoin. And if someone puts in fiat, fine, the fiat gets converted to Bitcoin. Everything gets converted to Bitcoin and stored in the Bitcoin Global Reserve Fund. So, and three is the 3V engine. The 3V engine ultimately transforms CAGR, compounded annual growth rate, into CABR, compounded annual benefit rate, where it's constantly the AI is constantly evaluating, verifying, right, and creating a valuation of what you're doing, which determines, in many respects, the value of the token that you represent or you have created. So all tokens are going to be driven, and this is different from growth and consumption, which is our current model. This is benefit, proof of benefit. How is it what you're doing benefiting the planet, its living systems, and in sharing with others? And like I said, these are intangibles that can be measured now because of the sophistication of our AI. The outcome, well, capitalism 3.0. Imagine now all of a sudden we make it very simple for large organizations to tokenize themselves. We have a framework that has a valuation that determines the value of their token based on the work that they do, right? And what you're going to find is, companies like Sea Shepherd, organizations, Sea Shepherd, environmental groups, their tokens are going to skyrocket. They're going to be more valuable, I'm predicting right now, than stuff like Microsoft and other stuff, which are based in this old world. So organizations anywhere, farms, co-ops, restaurants, anyone will be able to basically take this framework and apply it to their system, right? It's going to and their business ultimately will transform. Small businesses will transform into a sustainable economy. And you have this fund, this decentralized fund, this Bitcoin Global Reserve Fund, that ultimately then is empowering people to be good, to make the difference, and to ultimately usher in the change needed. Imagine empowering basically 100 million people to go out and clean up beaches. Well, that's what this framework is going to do. So this is actually an image from 2011. This was the first image of a blockchain that I created. You can call this a blockchain. This was used by Ethereum founders to provide the idea of the DAO. That's where the DAO, the SmartDAO, Danos. What BitClout represents is just this is 3 blocks right here. Here's the idea. It's you. It's Twitter. Does it validate? Do people put a stake in it? And ultimately, it creates passive crowdfunding. That's the value of your token, right? They put a value to that. And the BTC that passes through goes into their wallet. So in the new system, the fork system, all this BTC flows into the SmartDAO, right? And the valuation engine isn't based on, they're doing it based on the traditional 14th century capitalism model. It's based on how people are responding to you. Not necessarily if they're just putting money. That has value, but it's not all and be all. And then also the 3V engine is here's the noodles. It's liking systems, sharing system. It's 77 little peppers that you'll be able to switch out and have any emoji you want as as the things you interact with. Here is, and ultimately in our framework, your token, your project, your business can move through, right? And ultimately launches its own fork, so your token actually becomes its own SmartDAO, its own independent thing, right? So smart DAOs beget smart DAOs beget smart DAOs. Here's another vision image of it, more detailed image. Again, this came out in 2012. I believe this is why they're non-commercial, why they didn't launch as an entity. And I believe it's why what they launched is really a non-derivative of my work, because they didn't add votes, they didn't add endorsements or advisors, team, promote. All these are metrics, right? Who is joining your project? Who is voting on your project, right? The weight of these individuals all apply to the validation, verification, valuation engine. So these are measures of that. Obviously, someone putting in Bitcoin into something has the highest measure, and obviously they did that one first because it's green, right? So, in here you can see the game mechanics here. These game mechanics will be swapped out. People are going to be encouraged to basically come up with game mechanics, and I'm going to show you the game mechanics that I came up with back in 2010, 11, right, for this framework, and the one that we'll be implementing for Foundups. So the two modules are right here. All Bitcoin flows in the SmartDAO. It pays out 20% or up to 80% back to the users, right, in the form of the native token FUCs. So FUCs is our native token. Sounds like Foundups coins, right? Foundups coins, Foundup coins. Um, and there's something else here which I'm not going to cover much, but basically the way Foundups work is after 10 years, the FUCs actually going to be replaced with UPS. UPS evaporate. UPS basically can't store. You can use, and now you have an economy. And this is actually headed towards what's known as a moneyless economy. So what's the next transition from kind of the tokenized economy? It's to UPS, found UPS, and ultimately the AI at this point is running well, and everything's worked out, and everything's great, and all of a sudden you can just live life and you've just found ups just by being good, picking up trash. I found ups. Helping an old lady across the street, found ups. Going out helping a neighbor, doing a project, found ups. Imagine a society where you just do good, be good, and you're free, right? You don't have to be a slave to some organization, some work. It's a world where all farming is done autonomously, right? Where you spend life being creative, being good, and healing the planet. That's the vision anyway. So here's the game mechanics for FUCs. Users come in. There's actually two kinds. There's a freemium user you come in, and there's a premium user, which is a subscription. Our model's based on a subscription model where you put in fiat or Bitcoin, right? Doesn't matter. It gets converted to Bitcoin. And if you're freemium, you have some caps. So the amount of ups you can the FUCs you can earn, right, is kind of capped. Now, what you're doing here is actually, in a way, playing is you're betting on the tokens on whether they're going to go nano. Actually, I need to add something on here. I need to add the engine on here. That's what that spot's right there is for that. So the engine is basically monitoring all this. If you the only difference is one is capped and uncapped. So if you are picked, you are capped on the amount of the FUCs you earn. And then if you win, you get FUCs. Obviously, it's uncapped, so the people who are premium are going to get more of the FUCs than the freemium versions. And then what happens is you can spend your FUCs in a mall, and this is in what I called eyeball for product. There's so many products out there, warehouses, old stuff, that are available, and you can actually spend your FUCs on the mall and actually get cool products right there on the platform. It's called the Foundups Mall. Or you can, spend it on a credit card called, FUC card, get it out there. And or you can actually prizes, you can swap it for stuff. So you can just spend it or swap it, where people are, think of it as kind of like, hey, I've got this, I'll give this for that, like the whole pizza thing, right? So this is kind of the game mechanics right here. It's kind of fun. It provides folks with it. So let me talk about also the token system is very different than what you think of as a token system. What I've done is I've looked at Bitcoin. So you'll notice how you say be the next Bitcoin. All these tokens again last for 10 years. When you set up a token, you have 10 years for the token. They are kind of, and they stop producing anymore after 10 years. And then what there is what there is. So it doesn't matter how many tokens you can have. You can set 1 trillion tokens and have massive amounts. It doesn't matter. They run out in 10 years. The noodle's going to create the relationship, whether the valuation between tokens and tokens, because they're all set the same, time-wise and everything else. They have the basics. So you create your token. You set the amount you want for as a drip, and then the token, it knows how long, and then you'll pay your token creation cost. And that token creation cost can be paid in fiat or Bitcoin, and that ultimately is also going to be credited to you. So if you pay in Bitcoin um, or fiat, it's going to convert to Bitcoin, make a conversion amount, figure out what the cost is, and initially probably it's going to pay back 20% of that, and all the way up to 80%. And why would it go up? Well, because when Bitcoin hits, if you put in $1,000 and now it's in Bitcoin, it goes up a times, 10,000. Obviously, you're going to get a higher payback to you than it isn't, because Bitcoin is going to go to that value. Right now, everyone's trying to steal your Bitcoin, whether they're trying to steal it on an exchange, they're trying to steal it, you buy a Tesla, try to steal it via PayPal. Everyone is trying to steal your fucking Bitcoin. That's what I've been telling people for the last basically 5 years, 6 years, buy Bitcoin, hold it, don't do anything with it. Every transaction is rewarded with FUCs. So when you come in, you're going to get FUCs. When you buy this, you're going to get FUCs. FUCs is kind of our reward. FUCs can be used to buy stuff. Here's another way of the distribution framework. So unlike the current model is, hey, I attribute it. All of ours basically drips into this pool. So when you interact with someone's token, you're interacting, get access to their pool that's dripping out over 10 years, just like Bitcoin. And the noodle is determined. This is the noodle here is determining, what level of consumer, collaborate, creator are you? You can be a co-creator of a token. A co-creator too. Let's say someone makes a token that isn't yours. Let's say makes a token that someone, is let's say Coca-Cola, right? Someone comes in and makes a Coca-Cola token. Again, we're the swordsmith. We're not the person wielding the sword. And luckily for me in Japan, it's been ruled as a swordsmith. I'm completely, harmless. So what people choose to do with my sword is up to you. But ultimately, let's say someone does do Coca-Cola, right? I didn't tell them to do it. They just happened to do it, or they did Prince, or they did something. Well, guess what? It would be the creator would be assigned to the Prince estate or Coca-Cola or whoever. So the percentage of the tokens of the creator tokens will always go and be held for that, right? Because just like that Google can go out and do this whole copyright violation. If there's a copyright violation, it's just going to basically hold that. It's not going to stop it. It's just going to hold those tokens for them. And then when Coca-Cola comes in and says, "Hey, we're Coca-Cola," I say, "Great, here you go. Here's your creator. Here's your tokens." All right. This is the brave new world. This is a world where really IP and all this stuff doesn't exist anymore, unfortunately for them, right? That's the old capitalism 1.0. A new world, everyone's fair, everyone's treated on it. And this is, again, remember, this is completely ubiquitous. It's Bitcoin as a platform, right? In many respects. Um, why now? Well, fuck BitClout. Here's BitClout. Really, since look at the growth. Now, this is just likes. This is also the growth. You can actually look at their wallet and see. I haven't looked today, but they did 50 Bitcoin yesterday, right? Let's see what they did today. Every day I'm gonna look at their thing. They're the Gencon. Gencon means entryway into the blockchain world, right? So, and they are working out. I mean, for example, they're working out the network and all the issues as people coming on. And they're the first subscriber unicorn, which will mean over 1 million people are going to be on them. One of the big problems with blockchain is scalability. Like I said, over 4,000 Bitcoin, right? But you get nothing they're just stealing your Bitcoin, right? So that's in essence what they're doing. Well, size is here, right? Bitcoin, blockchain, AI have all reached the critical mass for adoption, and it's time for us now to with the advent of BitClout is to use that model to usher in a new business model. The why of the blockchain was always to create a new sandbox. This is why I shared the idea, what became Ethereum, with the founders of Bitcoin Magazine. Is because what Vitalik can't explain to you is how did he come up with the idea? Well, I came up with the idea. He didn't come up with the idea. He was shared the idea through Michal Lisi. I came up with the idea because I knew I needed a new sandbox to usher in a new paradigm. This new paradigm is what I'm sharing with you right now, Capitalism 3.0, because we couldn't go to the old paradigm and say fix it, but now together we can usher in this new paradigm. It's that simple. So this is the why of the blockchain. And everything else is noise. competition, competition, competition is a capitalism 1.0 paradigm built on the competition of consumption, right? In capitalism 3, there is no competition. Everything all the SmartDAOs form a kind of what's known as a distributed beneficial keiretsu. The logo that they are using is the logo of a distributed beneficial keiretsu, right? The stacked pyramids. That's a keiretsu. All tokens in the keiretsu are interchangeable. So what I want to do is go to organizations and say, hey, you want your own token, want everything else? Here it is. And guess what? Your valuation is going to be not going to be meant on the consumption of your token and the destruction of the planet, but actually on the benefit that you provide and the benefit that is ushered in. Competition, it gone. That's old world. Sorry, guys. So product development, really, there's three parts. There's the 3V engine, which we already have a little bit going, and I'm actually talking to the Noodle King to get it going on. We're going to get it going on BitClout, and we're going to get it so that basically, if you participate with you're going to get our token. So the second thing I want to develop is called Fucks for Code. Oh, sorry, FUCs for Code. Slip up there. It's really supposed to be FUCs for Code, guys. Promise you. And the idea is one of the big problems is, and this actually came from them, from BitClout. The way they did their Twitter authorization is the same thing you'll do for your GitHub code. So imagine you have the AI searching for code that has been put in. They find it in a GitHub, right, that someone provided, and then it says, hey, please sends you their public key. Please send back your public key from your GitHub address, and we will reward you some FUCs. So and then the DAO basically submits the FUCs. The DAO will handle all of the distribution and management through kind of smart contracts and AI, right, deciding which smart contract to implement. And then the SmartDAO, and the SmartDAO um, is basically holds all the Bitcoin, right, and issues all the FUCs. And when you fork it, you can, you change FUC to whatever you want for your token, and it does the same thing. So how does it work? Well, every time someone mints a token, every time someone swaps or uses a token, there is a cost, small cost involved, and those costs ultimately all go to the SmartDAO, and the SmartDAO rewards them for those costs and payments. So, one of the things that limit people from just tokenizing, going crazy and tokenizing everything, ultimately is a fee, right, on that. How many FUCs do you want? So who's the team? Well, I envision this is I'm Satoshi, you out there, developer, right? it's it's FUCs for code time, baby. And I, the one thing that we will set up is kind of an IOHK. I'm going to be setting that up in July. I'm also going to be setting up the BitClout DAO if they don't do it in Wyoming, since they're in Wyoming. So we'll be setting up in Wyoming as a DAO, and the Smart DAO in Wyoming will be set up in July. Mashup of the app is coming. I've given some glimpse of that a little bit, and here are some collateral links that you can check out and everything else. I appreciate you listening. If you have any questions, feel free to stop by Discord. Foundups Discord is our Discord right here, right? And I'm usually sitting in Dog's open office. I meant to write Gods, but I'm dyslexic. What can I say, right? So Dog's open office. Pop in there, talk to me, and I'm hoping to find partnerships and other folks that want to come involved and help launch this. I am just a Mayan monk returned. I live in the heartland of Zen Buddhism. My work is done. I've shared with you the vision. I've shared with you the opportunity. It's up to you now whether it's going to happen. And you can participate by either, if you want to give a contribution to our Patreon page, you can do that. Or you can join the team, or link up with me on LinkedIn, and share the vision. That's what you could do too, right? Just share. Say, hey, listen to this guy. He may be on something. UnDaoDu. That is the do for you from the heartland of Zen Buddhism. You can always follow me on Twitch, Foundups. I broadcast every day. I am broadcasting this as I record it. And I live in the fifth age. In the fifth age, everything you do is being monitored by Obey. And Obey obeys you. And ultimately, I'm here